r/felons. Dramatic Jackfruit says. Bonded out on 2 felony charges. What to do now? I've been bonded out of Harris County Jail for a few weeks or so now. Charges are aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and indecent exposure. After I got out of jail, I have not been wanting to do anything at all. I have a public defender. I know I should get a lawyer, right? Should I get a job? I'm staying with my parents. Jumpy ad 6470 says. I suggest to continue to do nothing, so you don't get in more trouble. Lawyer, public defender. Expect to end up having to register as a sex offender for the indecent exposure. Ask for your public defender what's in the discovery packet, so you know what evidence is being used against you. If possible, I would try plea deal to get rid of the SO charge. Would affect you more in life than a regular violent charge. Scottish Row 6611 says. Definitely hire a real lawyer, get a job, be a productive member of society. It will really help when it comes to the plea deal they offer you. Try to get the indecent exposure dropped. In Harris County, if it's your first offense, I would expect an eventual offer of deferred adjudication or probation, long time though, possibly with SAFP. So I would personally hold out for that, especially since you're waiting outside of jail. SAFP however will equate to about 1 year locked up, few months waiting for it in jail, 6 months at program, 1 month at halfway house. And I can't stress this enough. Get a good lawyer. First offense that really can, and likely will make the difference between probation and prison for you. If you were in Bexar I could recommend a good one, but for Harris IDK any. If probation, make sure the restitution isn't an ungodly amount, they like to do that in Texas. And not being able to keep up with payments will violate your deferred/probation. Last thing you want is to violate deferred, cause then they can sentence you to whatever they want. Regular deferred costs are around $60 a month, and I've seen people required to pay over $300 a month because the county snuck a ridiculous restitution amount into the paperwork, knowing you'll likely focus on the time amount and not the fine/restitution. Bowery Afgram says. A lawyer will help immensely. Public defenders are stretched way too thin to actually do the work on your case. Is this your first offense? Harris has a diversionary program for younger offenders and substance abuse that is 6 months in a low security plus probation. Hopefully that's an option. I would ask about it. Useful Raspberry 3912 says. I'd suggest getting your affairs in order. Sounds like a better than average chance you're gonna be going away a while. If so, get any dental work or medical taken care of before you go. If you have issues, the care inside ain't great. I'm speaking from experience. If you know you're guilty, try to plea it down. If you aren't, better get a real lawyer and fight it. You don't want a public defender. r/felons. OK contribution 8776 says. Parents that are felons, why? My parents are felons. They committed white collar crime, fraud and tax evasion. They did it twice, and a third time. I will never understand why. Did they do it? Why did they screw their kids over? Why did they use their kid's name for fraud, affecting the entire family? Why? My mom is near the end of her life. She has cirrhosis. She has 2 years to live. She's been happy and trying to change her life around recently. But yet, I received a call that may have affected her kid. She downplayed it, said everything is okay, just let it happen, but court records show otherwise. Why? What makes them want to commit the same thing once, twice, or thrice? Could someone share insight? Is it an addiction to living on the edge, where you nearly get away with it for half your life, then comes your 50s and you're fricked? I don't judge felons, because my parents are felons. I have sympathy for them, and believe in a second chance and think felons that commit white collar crime should join compliance since they know how to spot fraud easier than others lol. Just for facts 714 says. All about the money. Delana 12,000 says. I've seen so many financial crimes committed because of gambling addictions. Big 1973 says. Well, with liver failure inevitable, I would hazard a guess that the answer to your why question stems from the rather obvious fact that at least one of them is a drunk. Drunks tend to be selfish in nature. Otherwise, they would understand and care that their actions are adversely affecting others. It sort of all spirals out from there. That being said, I'm sorry for you. They sucks and I don't envy you having the need to feel compassion for them. Thistix Enormous says. Freedom is much more than human laws set in place to inhibit our nature as rebellious humans. I wouldn't do anything like that though. The only crimes I've committed were to help those around me at the cost of myself. Which was a high cost. I guess I don't really know what to tell you. Some people have more of a neurological detachment from the things that should typically matter most to them. An overwhelming urge to destroy by selfish gain perhaps. That's typically the tendency of intelligent criminals. Zlacremacy says. Habits. Hard to kill or undo. It's why some people can't escape crime even when given chances. Dragon School says. Fortunately I had good parents, but I have plenty of criminals in my family. They don't see themselves as criminals. More like victims of prosecutors or victims of a country that failed them. Good luck and stay strong. 13 Nuba Jennings says. I was in a fatal car accident and wound up with felonies from the resulting deaths. It was a crime because of THC in my blood. I'm a felon as a result of an accident. r/felons. Desperate Fox 2882 says. Life after prison for a Chomo. Good morning. I had some questions, and hopefully, I can get some answers/closure. Back in March 2018, my then husband of 19 years was arrested for chasm. I filed for divorce. I got sole custody of my two kids, 15 and 9 at the time, and he got 5 years probation, all in my home state. In February 2021, my oldest, then 17, told me that my ex-husband molested and raped them from ages 3 to 6, could possibly been earlier than 3 years old, they can't remember. EXH was arrested May 2021 and sent back to his home state, Indiana, where the crimes occurred. After 2 years in the ADC jail in Indianapolis, he was sentenced in July of 2023 to an additional 10 years in prison, serving his time at the prison in Newcastle, Indiana. We also have a no contact order and an order of protection against him. He also promised the judge at his sentencing that he would not travel to my home state ever again. So my question is, how will life after prison be for a chomo such as himself? I know that he will most likely be kept separated from the general population, and he will have to register as a sex offender as well. He will be in his mid-50s when he is released. His closest family is his mother. If she's still alive by then, she'll be in her 80s, and an older brother in his 60s. Will he be able to find housing? A job? How is life after prison for child predators? Barely, he says. Chomos are not liked in prison, so he may not make out, but if he does, most people outside won't want him around. Baz 1954 says. Newcastle has a shoe for sex offenders to keep them out of Gen Pop. Sept Libra says. Your ex is a trash individual whose degeneracy should have put him 6 feet under. No one cares what happens to this trash. Desperate Fox 2882 says. I'll finally be at peace when he is 6 feet under. I pray for that daily. Known Resolution 428 says. Who cares? He'll be lucky if he makes it alive from prison. Joel 22222 says. Most states have a level system as far as I'm aware. In my state there are 3 levels. 2 are shown on the map with their photo, 3 are very heavily monitored. Their life is certainly going to be hell after they get out. No job prospects, no one will rent to them. Homeless shelters will not even allow them at level 3. The one I volunteer at allows level 1, select level 2, and no level 3. Usually people with charges involving repeated physical abuse of minors are going to be level 3. Saltimatsos says. What life after prison? 239 Bobxb says. Just curious if he is the blood father of the children or a stepfather? I'm sorry for what has happened to your children and your family, that is so unfortunate. So I have a little insight I can share with you. I was around 17 years old when I met a man who was 23 years old. My girlfriend and I partied with him, and we became very close friends. We hung out for what was a little over a year, and then he told us he'd be going to prison for a little while. He told us it was dark web related stuff and we didn't know what he meant. Come to find out he had been caught hosting a huge trade system for CP, and was found with hundreds of CP files in his possession with some including infants. He was only sentenced to 7 years, got an early release, and now he has a job and everything, and is living a normal life from what I heard. He has probation for a long time and he cannot access any computers without supervision. The man is no longer my friend and I haven't spoke with him since he was convicted, and I found it in my local news. However, from what I have heard, unfortunately he is living a very normal life with the addition of probation and meetings and such. We live in Virginia and apparently they allow offenders to have their name removed from solely if it's a non-violent charge, which to me is absolutely bullshit. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.